Today, in this episode, I want to share with you my most unique experiences while traveling in Kenya. I've made a list, so in case I forget some, I will get back there. And these are like the experiences. It's off the beaten path, most of them, or people don't know about they even exist. Let's just dive into it. So I think one of my most favorite spots in Kenya, I think I've been mentioning this so many times in other videos, is northern Kenya. You don't have to go like too far to the northern Kenya, but this is also very beautiful. I'm talking about Samburu. And this is especially for clients or travelers who want to travel and experience the authentic way of traveling. Because let me tell you something, Kenya is getting more and more touristy. Like so many tourists are coming here, they're going on safari, Nakuru, Naivasha, like the normal mainstream things. You can also still find hidden spots there, of course, because Kenya is just huge. But if you want to have a unique itinerary and if you want to do something which no one else does and something which you might be the only white person there, then maybe going or considering going to Samburu or these northern sites is worth it. So let me tell you like why I love this area so much. Like when I started traveling in Kenya, I started like just traveling very, very low budget and I just go with public transport wherever I want. And I actually ended up in the women's only village, which also gets more and more like publicity online. That's why I'm a bit like in between. Like, yes, I love supporting Umoja, the women's only village, but also you have to know that it gets more and more popular and more touristy. And it's at the end of the day, the story is true. Like, this is a village by women who didn't have any voice. Like, these women, they're Samburu, they were beaten up, they were misused, they were raped, and they just said enough is enough. They want to create something just for themselves, a safe place, a safe heaven, and they did that. And this village still exists by today. So I think it's worth it of supporting the village and going there, but not just going there as a tourist, showing up, having a 1-hour village tour, going back and then paying them for that and buying their jewelries. That's not what I mean. If you really want to do that, then get in contact with someone who knows and also get in contact with Rebecca herself. And or the son is the one running it mostly, or they're doing it together. And they also have an accommodation there where you can sleep and then where you can get closer to them. But that's what I'm saying, like I'm a bit in between. It's still a very good experience, and that's how I came the first time to Samburu, because I was like had a volunteer. That time, it's over 7 years ago, and she was like, Sinja, I have heard about this village, let's go there. And I was like, I have no clue what you're talking about. So we just went by ourselves and we actually found it, which I would not recommend because it was quite risky, but we did find them. And then that's how I get in contact with the village. I used to help them out. I get in contact with Rebecca. Now we are good friends. And yeah, I help clients travel there, but only if they're really interested in supporting the village and not just coming there as a tourist. Come and go. So while I was there, I just fell in love with Samburu, because Samburu, for me, they also have a national park, a reserve. It feels like, as I said, you might be the only white person there. It's one of the only places in Kenya where I feel like you go there and you still find Samburu or Maasai, like Samburu is the cousin tribe to Maasai, still being and living the real authentic way, the way you might see it on TV. Like they are dressed in the attires like that the entire day. You go on their market on Sundays and you just walk by. They sell sheep, they sell goats, cows, camels, this side. And it's just like looking at them around and seeing them walk around. For me, that was a once in my lifetime experience. Getting to know their culture by just being there and asking questions. And I found a really good guide there who's still up to today taking clients around. And one of my favorite spots there is like a small mountain. I mean, there is Mount Ololokwe, which I also highly recommend. It's a sacred mountain. To climb up there or hike up takes you maybe 4 hours. I have never done it yet, but it is on my list. I was never a hiker or being so much connected with nature, and now I think I do get into that way more and more. So he can take you there, or even his like friends or cousins, and then they explain to you like about their culture and their way of living, and he will also take you to a real authentic village visit. Because what happens, to be just honest with you, in Masai Mara, most of the time, if you don't choose a good guide or tour operator, they send you to the, to these villages where it's accessible by everyone and it's just like for tourists and set up and you walk through it 1 hour and it's more like a guided tour. You walk through, you buy things, you walk out. But you are treated like any other tourist. So there you find the real villages which are not set up for tourists. Like the people truly live there, and people are so, you know, it's just a different way of people welcome you and are happy that you're there and you're supporting them. Of course, this comes with like a small donation fee for the village, but it's another feeling of gratitude and experience than going to, you know, this mainstream Maasai villages. So this guide also, one morning he took us on one of the amazing small, it's just a 20 minutes hike. Oh my God, it was one of the most beautiful sunrises I have ever seen in Kenya. And this at 6 in the morning, hiking up, 20 minutes hike only, and that's how we started our day. And for me, Samburu just has like this vast, wide land, and you just feel like it's like the same feeling when you look on the ocean. You just are free, and my mind is creative, and it just lets rolling and rolling. And I love these moments, like just looking at the nature and dreaming. And for me, it's all about creating my own life. Like I'm an independent travel consultant. I can do whatever I want to do. Like I plan my next travels, how I do A, B, C, D, and it's the perfect spot for that. And also just getting out all your stress and worries. So Samburu definitely touched my heart for that. And then also there's one of my most favorite spots in Kenya, also around that corner. It's a bit tricky to access, but it is called Reteti. So that's an elephant sanctuary. And you might have heard about the one in Nairobi, David Chadwick, which is also fine. You can go there. It's just not me or my favorite thing to do, because if you go there, you are with like another 150 people there. You get to surrounded like so many people. There's baby elephants, and have like a tour and they're talking about them. And anyway, it's not my vibes, but they're doing a good job. So if you go to Reteti and go to that baby elephant sanctuary there, oh my God, there it's where you can like. I even stayed there. Nowadays they have a hotel there, but it's a top-end high luxury hotel. But you can still stay in Samburu and then travel there. It's like 1 or 2 hours with a car. You need a proper car, like a Land Cruiser this size. You cannot just go with a safari van or a 5-seater. These roads might be terrible, especially if it's raining. There's no access there. This is also, because it's so far, it makes it so beautiful if you get to these sides of Kenya, because you might be just the only ones. And then they also have, if you are in luck, baby giraffes. So you cannot feed the baby elephants when you're there, but to see them and just to support the project, it's a community project. So the entire community around Samburu is the one managing. It's not by outside donors or anything. And that's also a beautiful point for me, to support locals directly and not private organizations who are run by people from UK or US. So I love that, like just being there with the baby elephants, being there at their feeding time, learning how they support them, and also rescue other elephants. And as I said, if you're in luck, they have the baby giraffes, and then you can feed them with their bottles, like the baby bottles for a baby, but of course the big ones now for giraffes. And this is one of the most beautiful things to do. Like it is so cute. And as I'm saying, this is definitely one of my highlights. So if you can make it anyhow, but this is only for people who have more time than 10 days, or who really say like they value this over anything else. And it's also a bit more pricey, maybe, than other things, other itineraries. This is something I would over and over recommend to anyone, to any traveler in Kenya. So then there are a few more like small experiences you can do. Even there's one more in Samburu. Like there's one place run by Saruni where you can track the rhinos. You know, to find rhinos in Kenya is not that easy. I mean, depending on the parks you're going. Like for example, in Masai Mara, it is quite difficult to see them because they are so less. And then we have special parks where they rescue them, the endangered rhinos, because we have like one park, they are the last white female northern rhinos in the world. Then we have a sanctuary of rhinos. It's a private conservancy in Solio, which I find it way more exclusive and unique because people don't know about it. Or if you want to see rhinos in the main standard easiest way, go to Nakuru. Or if you're in Samburu anyway, there's one place, as I said, Saruni, they do the rhino tracking, and then you can find the rhinos in Samburu as well. And coming to Kenya and having this type of experience is just like making your itinerary like to that most unique experience, like an experience which you never forget in this world. Let's dive into another one which I have recently traveled to, but this is like a high-end luxury place. but I do love it so much. That's why I had to include it here, and it's now getting more and more popularity. It's called Lions Bluff Lodge. It's in Taita Hills. Not many people go to Taita Hills because if they go the sides, they go to Tsavo, Tsavo East, Tsavo West, but there's also Taita. So what I love is they have the luxury one. It's called Lions Bluff Lodge, where you have, according to me, one of the most unique hotels ever in Kenya. You can see like all over Taita. It's like the same feeling I described for you in Samburu when you look at the ocean. It's like so beautiful, like, oh my God, you just start dreaming, and you see the sunset from your hotel room in the most unique way. And I just felt like this was the first hotel in my life where I felt like I don't want to leave that hotel room. Like safari, yes, okay, fine, but staying there, just having that type of luxury and rest and peace was all I needed. And while I was there, they took us to the Taita tribe, and also I've never done that before. So what is very common is the Maasai tribe, which you have in Masai Mara, and then also if you go to Samburu, it's the Samburu tribe. They're a bit similar, but now the Taita tribe, it's a very different tribe, like completely different, the way they dress, the way they sing, the dances. And I was so, how do I say, they had such a positive energy, like this happiness. You see, when you meet someone and they have a good energy, you immediately feel that welcoming, happy energy. The way they were playing the drums and singing and dancing, it was intense and crazy. So that is one of the experiences. If you get to Taita, there's even a low budget version for camping and a medium budget version for the Taita Hills. Then go and find one of these villages, include that, where they sing and dance. I found that amazing. That is definitely one thing I loved. And another experience is I had it a couple of months ago. I was staying at a friend's place. Like everyone knows about Diani. Now, next to Diani, it's like 45 minutes, there's Msambweni. So a friend of mine, she has like more like small private, I don't know if you can call them holiday houses in a village, which like no one knows about, but it's also at the beach. But I found it so beautiful, the experiences, the unique experiences you can get when you are there. Like they built that holiday house after they have built like an NGO, an organization and school. And so if you want to be connected to an organization, do something good, know where your profit goes, then you can get to that space. And they have like, they will also take you there, you can go and visit their project. And one of my favorite trips, that's why I mentioned them, is she took me to Funzi Island. And everyone knows about Wazini, which is in Diani. I mean, around the same areas, I mean, the same corners of Kenya. But Funzi Island for me was a bit of the feeling of the Maldives. Like, I've never been there, but you go there and it's exclusive. Like, we were the only ones, like, on that island, not on the island, but on the sandbanks. Like, you go outside and then you have the water is crystal clear, like on Zanzibar, like blue, different blues and white, and the sand is so white you can't properly open your eyes, and it's just you. And then she set up like a really cute picnic there, and it was an amazing day trip, and I will never forget that. And I still have on my list up to today that I want to go back there with a tent, and then of course not in the sand dunes, but on the main island, on Funzi Island. I want to just pitch my tent somewhere and then camp there. I'm saying this is on me, like no idea if that is so easy possible, but this is something like, maybe if you go to Diani or close by, think about having a day trip to Funzi Island instead of Wazini, or on top of Wazini, you can include that. Another thing around the coast is there is Kaya Kinando, is it called Kaya Kinando Forest? Something like that, just Google it. It's also near Diani, it's in Kinondo, something like that. And it's a sacred forest of the Kaya tribe, or the Digo tribe, which is the tribe in the coast in Kenya. And the Kaya, they will, it's a heavy place, like in terms of energies, because they talk about your ancestors and spirits which are there. So you have to follow different rules, you have to dress up, you have to cover yourself with like a black blanket before you enter to save yourself, not to get the negative energies, and then you have to do some certain rituals. And they do believe that the spirits are still there in that forest. So if you're interested in something like that, and the forest, and just entering a sacred forest, I think to get the history and the story of that place, this is a really good place. You can just do this, organize this by yourself. When you're in Diani, get a driver, a taxi there, or tuk-tuk, and then the villages or this forest is always there. So they have the locals there guiding you around. So this is also like one of the unique experiences which led me even up to today, like, whew, it's a heavy energy. Like until now I can still feel it. So I don't know if I would go again right now, especially if you have like, if you're a Muslim or you have a religion and then you're like, it's this magic with your religion or your beliefs. But it is an experience worth it, definitely, to go get there. Yeah, another thing on your list when you are in Diani or Mombasa Gegend, definitely include Nguni Sanctuary. This is a sanctuary which is not really known. I mean, it's there, you find it. You can just go there with Uber. Uber works fine in Mombasa. And they have a few ostriches, antelopes and giraffes. Oh, I'm all about giraffes. I love them so much. So these giraffes there, they are just roaming around freely in the park. And it's set up also like as a small picnic park, like a picnic area on top. So you can walk up there. Maybe it's a few kilometers hike, or you just go with your Uber up all to the picnic area and where the giraffes are there, and then yeah, you can just have your own picnic there with the giraffes. And I find this such a beautiful place, which is not yet known that much. It's getting more and more popularity. So if you are listening to that, go there very soon before it's known all over. This is one of my most top favorite spots for giraffes, so that one definitely on the list. Another spots for giraffes is, because I'm all about giraffes, is Naivasha. You can include that in your itinerary on your way back from Masai Mara if you want, or you just go there from Nairobi. It's just like 1.5 hours or 2 hours depending on where exactly in Naivasha you go. So close to the lake, inside the lake there is Crescent Island, where you can go there with a boat. Like you will see the hippos in the water and beautiful bird life around. And on this island you can have walk. You also have different type of antelopes, impalas, oryx, not sure exactly, but also there we come, my giraffes. And you will find them on the island. I think there are like 6 of them on the island, and you will get a guide there. And yeah, just getting to them close by a walk, like now walking outside, not being inside the car, is beautiful. And it's also less tourists there, not many people, and that is what it makes it for me so beautiful. Yeah. And then I get always asked, like, Sinja, where can you find or where do you encounter just wild giraffes while you're driving somewhere? And it's something different when you're in a national park and then you see them, like, because you're somehow prepared. Or it's very different if you do a road trip and then they just cross your car and you're like, whoa. So this happened to me already 2 times on the same area in Naivasha, around Naivasha Lake, on the way to Chui Lodge, or behind even, there's a hotel. It's like a camp, self-catering camp. It's called Camp Acacia. So if you want to stay in a camp and cater yourself, it has its own kitchen. It's beautiful. Even at night or in mornings, not night, in the mornings, 2 times it happens that the giraffes just walked around our campsite, because there's a conservancies around and then they just walk around. But also if you drive those roads around Lake Nakuru, very far behind, you might just see them on the road crossing. And that is for me still one of my most favorite. I mean, there are so many, I could go on, but I think it's one of the top ones. And maybe if I find more or I've missed many, I will make another episode to share more of them. Yeah. So I hope you like this episode. And yeah, in case you wonder, like, okay, my God, Sinja, I want to do all this. I don't know how. You guys know where to find me. And you can also download the free Kenya travel checklist. There you can sign up. You will find a link somewhere where you can apply for a free call with either me or one of my team members. I travel so much that mostly it's a bit hard for me to take you on the call directly, but at the end of the day, we can help you to plan your trip. And if you say you go ahead, and then we will meet sooner or later on a phone call, and then I get to meet you in person, maybe as well when you're here in Kenya. So it was super nice and exciting for this talk, and I can't wait to see you in my next episode.